This reminds me of my son's favorite show, Word Party. The party's just begun. Anyway, it's baby talk time in 2020. Now, we asked our new moms, experienced moms and moms-to-be what their burning questions are. And for our very first baby talk episode of 2020, we'll be answering all those questions today with the help of our panel of experts. And joining us in studio, we have Doriska, lactation consultant and registered nurse. We've got Dr. Phillip Coetzee, who's a paediatrician, as well as counselling psychologist Samantha Rump, a.k.a. Sam. just to kind of get into the mode of the relaxed conversation that we're going to have, but we do appreciate you being here and answering these questions that we've got from our viewers. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. When we actually put this out on our social media, so many people came through, so many parents have so many questions, because I mean, parenthood is not an easy job, and it's good to have this panel where they can actually ask this and then also you answer them. So it's an open panel, and we're going to start off with the first question that came through this today for you guys, and maybe we'll start off with you, Doctor. The question comes in from Nazneen Sheikh, and she says, "Hi guys, I have a four-week-old baby and he's colic. Anything that I can use to help ease the tummy? I tried the Bennett's colic mixture, but it's not working. He can't sleep. He just cries with the stomach cramps."
The C word, eh?
Oh, the C word.
That is a swear word, and I forbid the C word in my clinic. Okay, explain colic.
Yeah, so it's a very, very common complaint, especially at this age. From around 4 weeks, babies, what I always tell my parents or my patients is that two things happen. They all of a sudden wake up and they start looking around and they start farting very loud and they start struggling with gas. And we have lots of different things that we think of when we think of colic and of babies who struggle with cramps. So there are a couple of medical things that we look at that we just want to exclude before we just label it as colic. But most of the time it's just colic, and you have to do your best to get through it. So using a colic aid or a colic mixture definitely helps. It helps to just ease the cramping and sometimes helps to just get the baby to sleep a bit better. But there are things that you have to think of in terms of the feeding and the kind of milk that the baby is getting, and are you burping the baby correctly, etc. And sometimes I think it's good to see someone about that as before just giving the baby the label of colic. Just see your healthcare provider, your lactation consultant or your paediatrician. Just make sure that there isn't maybe something else underlying that's causing all the crying. And then if it's just colic, just know that you have to stick through it. It will pass. It's not going to be there forever. The baby will outgrow it.
So they do outgrow it, like eventually?
They do outgrow it from around 12 to 14 weeks. It's not a problem.
Fortunately, there are no 38-year-old colic adults. Well, Trump might be. Oh. Anyway, so the next question came around stimulating your child, because I think a lot of parents want to have their children stimulated from as young as possible to help their brains develop, and especially because they're at that age where they are absorbing so much information. So Patience Tsikedi said, "My daughter's almost 2 and she's at her most busy stage, touching things, climbing at things. My question is, what can I do to keep her focused or to keep her busy in a way that would be helping her intellectual development? Because even when I try to sing numbers or alphabets to her, she loses focus rather quickly." So at almost 2 years old, which is exactly almost where we are right now with Phoenix, and I find exactly the same thing. Monique and I would be trying to teach him how to, remember colours or animals, and then he'd say 1 or 2, and then like, he's off. Ball, car.
Katlego, that's really, really, really normal for a 2-year-old. Their attention span is very short, and they are, their seeking system is just being activated in their brain, and they really are just wanting to explore the environment as much as possible and to learn about the environment around them. So the best way that you can stimulate a 2-year-old is to really connect with them, play with them. We forget that we know so much already about the world, but they don't even really know how leaves grow. And I mean, you can take them into the garden and you can watch a few things there, and that's a learning experience. So it's not so much about direct stimulation and we needing to learn numbers and colours as such. It's incidental learning. So
it's more like the pressure that parents are placing on themselves to, you want your child to be reading by the time they're 6 months old. So now,
and you're hearing all the matric results coming out, and there's this pressure to achieve, and
So let them
it's
play.
actually just let them play
Let
and
them play.
connect with them.
Yeah. Excellent.
And please
Interesting.
don't prop them in front of the TV.
No, we only do like 5 minutes of word party, Doctor.
When you need to shower.
Yeah. Word party is fun. We all Baby's very funny.
But they need to pop them in front of the TV because how else are they watching their feel-good breakfast shows?
Oh, no, don't do that.
But the next question for me is actually very interesting and it's quite relevant to the time period now because a lot of kids is going back to school. So this question comes from Pressy Kathleen that says, what I want to ask is, what should I do to get my girl focused and ready for school? She is 4 years old. She's clever and knows how to count colours and the South African colours and meaning. But when I try to teach her how to write the alphabet, she can't concentrate. So how do you get ready for school because she's 4 years old? So
Yeah, kind of like same question, just in a different age group.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that at 4, I mean, what you're really needing to focus on is her social and emotional development. And you really need to focus on helping her feel safe and secure and prepared in terms of an adjustment, because going to school is an adjustment phase.
Yeah.
So if she can be as calm and as comfortable as possible, she's going to then learn the alphabet and so on. You don't need to worry about helping her to write that now, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, again, it's about playfully learning. And it's really about having lots of conversations with your children about how's school going to be and what might be scary or what they might feel anxious about. Talk to them about those kinds of things. Reassure them, talk to them about your own experience. They learn a lot from our calmness and our ability to cope.
Cue the, hey, back in my day. All right, interesting insights, fantastic insights from our panel. Thank you very much. We're going to continue our conversation very shortly. And if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask us, you can pop them through onto our Expresso Morning Show SABC3 Facebook page. It's Baby Talk in 2020.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast show on this Thursday morning. Right on time you are for Baby Talk, the very first edition of 2020. We've got a very insightful panel with us in Sr Posthumus, in Dr. Coetzee and Samantha, who are taking in all of your frequently asked questions that you sent through to us. And glad to have you back on the couch again. So let's kick off with referencing what Dr. Coetzee had said earlier on when we were talking about colic babies, and that sometimes they struggle with cramps because their body hasn't really adjusted to dealing with the air inside. So burping your baby, because that's one of the things you can actually do to help them. So how do you burp a baby correctly?
Okay, so this question I get every single day. And then everybody sits with this.
There's a video on YouTube that I watched that said that that's how you do it.
Yeah, I don't know how you'll feel if somebody does that to you. Okay. So the principle is, remember that gas gets pushed down here.
Yes.
So you want to lift your baby.
Ah.
Okay. So I always hold the baby's chin here in my hand, like that, and bounce
them. Yeah.
and rub up.
Oh.
Rub up.
Yes.
There we go.
And rub down.
In a gentle motion.
Yeah, instead of this.
Yeah, okay, all right. Do not slap your baby's back.
Even like this, because now you lifting baby up and you get that.
Yes.
Open.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of videos to watch, but there's also ways to prevent all those wins, is if how you feed your baby, and like doctor said, what you feed your baby, but important that if you bottle feed as well, that you do it slowly. It's not gluck, 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 gluck.
Okay, let them have a break.
One of the biggest mistakes.
We call it paced feeding. So you pace feed your baby, then you're also gonna have less wins.
Interesting. Now, I want to change the topic a bit, and I'm sure this is a frequent question as well. I remember when I had little Luca, my midwife always said, like in antenatal class, she said the first thing you're going to be most excited for is when the baby poops. But what is considered healthy poop? And yeah, I know it's a bit of a disgusting topic.
Baby poop is cute.
But we get that question every day, and I always tell my moms, you'll never be so happy about poo in your life. So initially you have the dark meconium, but once baby gets fed properly and enough, you get normal yellow stools, watery.
Yeah.
And I always say, as you get, especially in the first week or so, if you get 3 nice yellow watery stools a day, you know you're on the right path because you know that baby is feeding and you know the baby is getting milk. As they get older, it changes a lot. But especially in that beginning, that's... And then they phone you, oh, I have diarrhea, or the baby has diarrhea. And you're like, no, it's normal.
And some hospitals actually doesn't release the mother or the child until the baby does that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
it's very important that they do that first stage before they actually go home or get sent home, right?
Yeah, active digestive system. Okay, before we go into some of these viewer questions, I wanted to talk about cleaning your baby's mouth, right? When is the appropriate time to start and how do you do it?
Okay. So the moment baby starts solids, and sometimes they start food before they have teeth. So you start either when they get teeth or when they start food. So, important also to use a product that is safe to swallow. So something with fluoride they shouldn't swallow.
Okay.
And they can't spit it out, or they can't spit it out purposefully.
Yes.
And lots of times you take the toothbrush and they just bite down on it. The principle is to teach them healthy lifestyle habits.
Yes.
So you can give them the toothbrush to play with.
Okay.
And put it in the bath. And let him play with it in the bath. And you get finger brushes that you put your finger in between and then you get to do what you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking of going back to that, but he can bite now, so it might not be the best thing to do. All right, let's take in some questions from Facebook. Here's one from Sharnay Peterson, who said, my question is, my daughter is 14 months old. We've noticed some white spots on her face. Is it sun exposure, even though we're using sunblock, or could it be a vitamin deficiency? I think that's a great question.
It's a good question, but it's a difficult question, I'm going to be honest with you. In a situation like that, I think the best would be to see your doctor and have the skin looked at. It's very, very difficult for me to give an answer on just white spots. There are hundreds of things that it could be.
Okay.
The sun exposure is probably unlikely. But it's going to be vitamin deficiency. Also, I don't think it's a vitamin deficiency, but I'd have to see that, unfortunately, to say anything more.
Absolutely. We have another question that actually came through as well, and this comes from Sharifa Bernadette. She said, my problem is my granddaughter is now heading for 2 years old, but she cannot speak. She used to say some words, but all of a sudden it is all gone. Is that something that you guys can maybe give feedback on?
I would test hearing, number one.
Yes, I would.
Start with hearing tests.
Check there's no problem there.
What we see a lot is in children, especially in children who attend daycare centres, they get recurrent middle ear infections, and with fluid build-up in the middle ear that never really drains completely after each bout of infection. And as that fluid builds up more and more, the hearing diminishes, and that can definitely affect their speech. That's the first step, definitely, would be to
something you guys also mentioned earlier was putting them in front of the TV, because sometimes you put them in front of the TV, they now are watching what everyone's doing, and if you're watching something like Mr. Bean, has no speaking, it could obviously also mute onto that, right?
Yes, definitely.
So definitely having lots of conversations with your children, talking while you're doing things can definitely encourage language development. But if after hearing's being checked and if there's still a concern, you know, she could maybe visit a speech and language therapist and just have that looked at.
There's so many questions. We wish we could have you for a 3-hour-long baby talk segment, but hopefully we can get you back very soon and continue to ask some of our frequently asked questions from our viewers. But in the meantime, is there anywhere that our viewers can follow each of you on social media or see a website where they can come and inquire about certain questions they have?
Okay, I have a Facebook page and on Instagram, Sr Doriska, and they can find me on Facebook, and I will always be in contact with any patients.
Wonderful.
Or any clients.
Yes, I've got a Facebook page as well. It's called Dr. Phillip Coetzee, Paediatrician, and then a website, drphillipcoetzee.co.za.
Excellent. Sam?
And you can get hold of me. I'm at the Bloberg Therapy Centre, which is in Tableview. And you're welcome to email me on samrump@gmail.com. And there is also a Bloberg Therapy Centre Facebook page.
Excellent stuff. Well, thanks to all of you, and thank you very much for sending through those very insightful and interesting questions, and we hope that the conversation was certainly enlightening to you.